Hi, I'm Cher Safran with Share Wisdom Network and host of the Nautilus Book Awards Author Spotlight Series. Now celebrating 20 years of honoring better books for a better world, Nautilus Book Awards continues this important mission forward to spotlight visionary books that co-create a better world and more positive future. The Nautilus Awards embraces books from a wide spectrum of the publishing industry, which radiate hope and wisdom, inspiring and connecting our lives as individuals, communities, and planetary citizens. This is a vast and crucial conversation, now more than ever. The Author Spotlight Series offers opportunity to increase the volume and visibility of the authors' voices as found in these empowering Nautilus Award-winning books. Author Rick Hodges is with us here today, sharing insights from his Nautilus Award-winning book, To Follow Elephants, which won the Silver Award in the Fiction Small Press category. And I'm delighted to tell you about Rick Hodges. He says, "I'm not quite a superhero, but a professional writer by day and author by night." Rick's fictional works include short stories, a stage play, and his debut novel, this Nautilus Award-winning book, To Follow Elephants, published by Stormbird Press. Rick lives in Arlington, Virginia with his wife and 2 daughters, and I am so delighted to welcome you here today, Rick.
Thank you very much. I am delighted to be here.
And congratulations on your Nautilus Book Award. Very well deserved.
It's fantastic. It's the best award I could win.
I just love your book. And so just to get us started, share with us what is the premise of your book. It's so beautiful.
Well, it's about a young man from the United States who goes to Africa to find his father, who's been in prison there most of his life, and to find out why he's really there. He meets his father, but his father won't say. So he teams up with a young woman who is an African elephant researcher, and she helps him find the truth. But throughout the novel, you also hear from the perspective of elephants, and their story intersects with the story of the human beings in surprising ways.
In fact, you have an excerpt that I'd like you to read that illustrates that last point you just made.
Yes, and so there are 2 parallel narratives. As I said, they intersect. And so sometimes you hear from the human characters, and sometimes you hear what is going on in the minds of the elephants. And so this passage is a perspective of the elephants. It was first grandmother's job to tell stories that would pass her knowledge on to her granddaughters and grandsons. One granddaughter would someday take her place and lead them all across the land to the right place at the right time of the year. But her favorite story to tell was not of how to browse the hills for ripe fruits or nuts in the good days, or how to dig wells in the plains with her tusks to find water during the long dry season. Her favorite story was for the youngest ones, the ones born just a season before, who still walked on playful, unsure legs and wiggled their trunks as they ran. Every youngster must be led at least once to the mountain and the caves that gave birth to all the elephants and told the story of the first elephants who emerged from the earth. There were 3 of them now, the youngest a curious grandson who took a break from playing to ask her, "First grandmother, how did I come from the mountain?" "My precious little one, it is good you want to know that, for it is so important. It was many, many grandmothers before me when—" "How many grandmothers before you?" "How many? More than all the stars in the sky, more than all the blades of grass." The young one was very impressed by this number. "Do you remember when we visited the mountain?" she asked him, "and we went to the great caves inside?" "Yes, I remember." "Well, before all the grandmothers, the spirit that lives in the mountain looked on the plains and the hills beyond, and the lakes and rivers and the forests, and at all the living creatures. She looked at the buffalo and the zebra and the wildebeest and the crocodile. She looked at the monkey and the okapi and the hyrax and the lion. She looked at the hyena, the woman, the leopard, the cheetah, and she noticed that none of the creatures were perfect. None knew and loved the land like the spirit who lives in the land. None loved their children the way she did. So the spirit decided to create a new creature, one perfect like she was. She took some earth from the mountain. From this earth, the spirit created the first grandmother, the very first one. And so that is how the elephants talk to each other and learn from each other, from first grandmother, who is the matriarch of the herd.
I love the way you blend the two, the nature, the elephant community, and then the human journey. They're both journeying, and they intersect, as you say, in these beautiful, surprising ways. So what inspired this, Rick? What inspired using Kenya and this elephant perspective, and how do you access the elephant's perspective?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious from reading this book that I traveled to Africa. One of my strengths as a writer is observation of detail. And so you see my travels sometimes verbatim, exactly as I saw them and the things I observed throughout. And I would see these things in my head over and over when I came back, and I felt like there was a meaning behind it that needed to come through. And so I had to get that out on paper and constructed this this plot on top. But the elephants were a magical moment when I realized that I can describe what's in their heads, because I had the total freedom to do that. Nobody else can tell me that that's not what they think. So it gave me a whole new world of fiction to work with, and then reflect back on the human characters and really bring out the meaning of what they were going through.
So beautiful. I'm glad you took the liberty. I lived 4 years in Kenya and have relatives, including my youngest son from Kenya.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so it brought it all alive. And when you were in the minds of these elephants, it felt absolutely natural. I just believed every word of it. And the whole landscape, everything about it, just so beautifully written. And really powerful story. So eco-fiction, what is eco-fiction? And would you say this book is in that category?
Eco-fiction is a word that people are using to describe works that are involved with the natural world or with ecological issues. And I consider my novel to be eco-fiction, but with a way of doing eco-fiction that I think is a bit uncommon. I very rarely have I read a book that merges the two worlds directly in that way. I modeled my purpose of this book after an author who has previously won a Nautilus Award, who is Barbara Kingsolver, and she has a great talent for making things mean something without spoon feeding it to you. So I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to make you feel like at the end that you had discovered this meaning yourself instead of me handing it to you. So it's eco-fiction in that regard, yes.
Well, you did Barbara Kingsolver proud.
Good. I hope so.
Really, I actually had that same kind of feeling for me. I just felt completely immersed in your novel. Just so beautiful. So, what do you hope that your readers will take away from this book?
The thing that I would like to see most is readers to feel that they need to listen to other perspectives, whether it be people or animals or the natural world. And since people can speak for themselves, but the earth can't and animals can't, we have to find new ways of listening and new ways of finding their perspective. And this is my novel's an imagination of what if we could just jump into their heads. And we might be amazed at what we find, and we might be amazed at how meaningful it is to us if we would just listen a little better. So that, I hope, is something that soaks into a reader when they read it.
Well, it definitely does. And especially in this time and age where listening has become kind of a rarity. We're pretty quick to say what we're thinking and feeling, but not really listening. And yes, especially in this time where we're sheltered in place, it seems like the animals in our world are able to kind of breathe a little bit more. And this is an opportunity for us to listen, to pay attention. And it's just the way you describe what these elephants might be thinking and feeling, and the way you humanize the humans in your book too. It's just all so beautifully done. And I am really grateful to you, Rick Hodges, for writing this beautiful novel and for touching our hearts and opening our minds and inspiring our whole lives with your amazing book, To Follow Elephants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.
And on behalf of the Nautilus Book Awards team, thank you all.